Welcome to the Savvy Leader Podcast. Real conversations about the grit, grace, and gratitude it takes to be the savvy leader you were always meant to be. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this week for the Savvy Leader Podcast. I am really excited. I can't even wipe a smile off of my face. I have Barb Monson here. She is an incredible coach and an inspiring woman. And she has the renowned pleasure to say she was my very first guest on the Savvy Leader podcast. I'm so grateful that she was willing to join me that day. We can talk more about that day. But more importantly, Barb, oh my gosh, it's so great to see you. It's been about a year since you were on. So much has happened for me, and I know you've been working through some amazing things, and I can't wait to hear more about it. But first, can you talk a little bit about looking back that year ago? I've got about 56 or something episodes under my belt now, but you were my first, and we don't have to talk about how that day went. But what we can talk about is when you reflect from a year ago, what are some of the things that stand out to you from then to now? And if you could have given yourself maybe a piece of advice back then, what would it have been?
Ooh, those are great questions. And first of all, I can't even believe that was a year ago. Time's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
Time
yeah.
just passes at a weird pace.
Mhm.
So I think when we reflect back to a year ago, we were talking a lot more about leadership, and I think that coming from the corporate world, I have a heart for people who are trying to just make it work at work. And I know that leaders have increased pressure. The post-COVID workplace is just weird, weirder than ever. And since we had that conversation, I've really pivoted a lot more to the individual, and not organizational work, but part of that was just I kind of root for the underdog anyway. And I'm someone that came from corporate finance at a variety of levels, all the way from clerk to CFO, and I know what it's like to be in a back office. And even if you're supposed to be in an influential role, it's not always, it doesn't always land that way. And just not having a voice, but also not wanting to stand out, right? So I a few things have happened since then. One, I've done a lot more public speaking. I was already doing public speaking, but my keynote speech, my signature speech, if you will, it's chameleons and peacocks, how to stand out at work. And that really started striking a nerve with a lot of people in a good way. It's like, oh, I don't want to stand out. I don't like it when people look at me, or I work with people interviewing and I don't want to be on camera. And there's so many layers to visibility, and it just lands like it's an icky word. But I've helped a lot of people redefine it. And so my work on that has really shifted in the last year to focusing on women in particular, corporate women, entrepreneurs, not wanting to stand out, but knowing they need to. And how do you do that in a really genuine way without becoming all flashy? And even men in that space too. I don't work with men one-on-one, but in my public speaking groups, it lands with a lot of audiences that are the quieter professionals, like I was, accounting, business and analysts, project managers. So that's maybe a long answer for your question, but what surprised me is that I didn't think I was doing another pivot, and but I'm a much more focused, narrowly. Is that even a word? Narrowly
Yes, it
on
is. That's a
helping
word
people
for
with
sure.
their professional visibility.
And that's incredible. I love that you found that niche. I think I've been seeing so much about it. And tell me what it means. Like you mentioned that you think you struck a nerve.
Mhm.
What does that mean to you? Like what, in what way? Obviously it's a good way, but it's something you must be getting some kind of a sense or a feeling from your audience and the people that you're working with. What kind of nerve are you striking?
It tends to be when I ask a couple of different questions. Like one, particularly if it's in women's groups while I'm networking, I'll ask a group, tell me something that you're good at. And then I always see this, oh, and then we back away from that. Well, you can't self-promote or you can't expect to get ahead at work if you're embarrassed about what you're good at or if you can't even come up with it. And the other part of it is the not wanting to interview or not wanting to be on camera. Why can't my work just speak for itself? So I'm hearing that comment over and over again. So what I repeatedly teach is that visibility is not becoming flashy or showy. My definition of it is knowing what your value is and making sure other people know it too. That's it. You can do that as a quiet person. You can still do that. There's a way.
You can. Tell me why you think so many people feel that way, though. Why do people shy away from, or I guess I should maybe frame it up more like, why does it take a person like you to shine that mirror and show them that? Are they looking for permission or what's the holdup?
I don't know that they're looking for permission, but I think if you're a natural chameleon versus a natural peacock, the chameleons look at the peacock as hot air. And I don't want to be the person that just shows up and is getting attention. And if you are not leading with your value, it is being showy. So I also talk to the peacocks about like if you've been stung a little when you've gotten attention, it's because you're not leading with value. So I think some of it is not knowing how to properly strategize what you make visible. And the other, I think, particularly for women, not all women, but this is tends to be what I see. We define ourselves by our productivity, how much we get done, and how many people we serve, and we put ourselves in this role. And so if things aren't landing or if we're not breaking through to another level, we just do more, hoping that they notice. They don't notice. So you have to, it's leading differently, leading yourself differently.
You're right, they don't notice, do they?
Right? No, don't. They notice in a way where you might get thanked or it yeah, you did a great job on that. But if it never leads anywhere, then you're putting too much effort in. Effort becomes a proxy for authority or for credibility. So if it's not going anywhere, then you need to change the effort. You dial it down and dial something else up.
Fascinating. That is so fascinating. And I can see why that would be um, really resonating with anyone in a professional atmosphere or setting. So true to say that why wouldn't my work just speak for itself? Why do I have to do the work and then also tell everybody to look at the work? I mean, what is that all about? Are you people blind? But I think that they're blind in the sense that they're more worried about what they look like. Is that true, you think?
It is. And I think also, again, speaking specifically to maybe women and our tendencies, we look at the output and not the genius behind it. And I had a boss when I was maybe in middle management that had asked me if I wanted to come over to one of his other departments. I was in R&D. He said, "Would you think you'd ever want to work in my business development team?" And I'm thinking in terms of tasks like we all do. And I said, "I don't know how to do that." I had never worked in that. And he looked at me funny and he said, "But I see how you solve problems." And that was my first indication that the way we do what we do, like I solve problems regardless of what I'm working on. And he needed that part of my brain, not the thing that's on paper. So it's it's taken a long time for me to put those pieces together for myself. But once you
Mm-hmm.
see it, then it becomes a lot more clear and obvious and easy to do.
Mm. And then once you come up with the tactics that you're comfortable with, because then that's the next step. It's like, okay, great. Now I know I did this thing. And
Right.
I know that unless I promote this thing on my own behalf, I have to be my own advocate here. Um,
Yes.
I'm not going, it's going to be a really nice thing that the company or the business benefited from me doing, but that's as far as it'll go. It'll never turn into more than that because as you said, it took you some time to kind of evolve into this.
Right.
When you come up with a great idea like that, there's always a post evolution. Like, bing, you get this idea and you put it on paper and then, or whatever, and then you use it and then you implement it and you put it into play. And then as time goes on, you tweak it, you fix it, and it evolves into something so much bigger, something you then can be known for.
You just really said succinctly what I don't hear often, but you're spot on about how it evolves. And I think when we're trained, particularly on a corporate track, everything is narrow and it's a next step, and you do this thing and it's leveled, but it's messy work. And so, especially when you're working on yourself and how you are being known, pivoting is okay, changing it is okay, renaming it is okay. And you're spot on. It takes a while for people to maybe land on what that thing actually is. And you know what? Sometimes we change our minds. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be the problem solver.
Yeah, well, because we evolve.
Yes,
We grow and then we outgrow some of those stepping stones that got us to certain plateaus and if you're someone maybe you're comfortable in this plateau, maybe you want to be there and that's where you want to hang out for the duration of your professional life, and that's great because you'll
right.
continue to evolve and provide that same value and be that go-to for that thing. But if you're someone who wants to continue to grow and move up or on or even to the side, you're going to change your mind and then you're going to have to rebuild something.
Rebuild.
Yeah. Rebuild something to be known for again. So
Yes,
understanding the habits or the tools and skills that it takes, or the steps or process it takes to do that is a life, it's a lifelong learning. That's
right.
a,
You're never done. You're never
Mhm.
done.
Yeah,
But
it's a
the
life
more
skill.
the more you flex that muscle, the faster you can up level it.
Absolutely. It's almost in a way then becoming your brand.
Yes. Everybody has a brand, whether they are managing it or not. And that's not just for business owners, it's corporate professionals and students and everyone in between.
What kind of advice can you give about that brand piece of it? Because I'm just curious what your thoughts are on branding in today's climate, especially in the age of AI.
Right. It's noisy out there. Some of it is really I teach a lot about knowing your value piece. And so I take my clients through exercises where we narrow it down to a top one and a top five, but we don't take that language and specifically convert it into branding. It informs the language that we use. So when I talk about my introduction and people see my top five, they see how they are related, but none of the words are in my introduction. So branding, it should be those value pieces that you offer, lead with what you offer, but it should also not sound like everybody else. So if you're a software engineer, your LinkedIn headline, your resume headline, the things that you say about yourself, it should not sound like the other 10 software engineers next to you. There has to be something in it that is a differentiator. And that's a step that a lot of people miss.
Yeah, that differentiator is hard. That's
Mhm.
hard.
Right.
Trying to determine just exactly how you're doing it, or articulating how you do it different. And because
Right.
we all do it different. I mean, the fact of the matter is we all do it different because we're different people. We have different perspectives, experiences, and different skill sets. We're going to do it different just by
Right.
default. But how to articulate that?
Yeah, how to articulate it. And then sometimes we swing too far the other way and we try to get all fancy and flowery articulating it so it stands out, but clear is always better than cute. And so sometimes that gets lost too. It's got to be clear, easily understood. They have to be able to repeat it later to somebody else. So at a minimum, start with clear, even if it's not overly differentiated, and then you can tweak.
Mm, yes, clarity.
Clarity.
It is so, especially for a creative person. Because
Yeah.
and a person who might even be having some confidence issues, because then you get to hide behind that clarity, that creativity. You make it so busy and so cute that
Yeah.
you're not actually seeing, you're not allowing yourself to step into that light because you haven't yet embraced yourself in it yet.
I had not thought of that. That's brilliant, actually. Yeah, putting a lot of words out there that you can hide behind. Yeah, I'm sure that happens.
I think about it a lot in the sense that as I shift different gears and different careers and different roles or whatever you want to, however you want to call it, I look at it in simple terms like you're putting on the uniform of
Hmm.
this um job description. So for example, as a real estate broker, you have a uniform that you put on. These are the expectations and you get so you have something to A, strive for, and B, you know what the expectations are, and then you also get to like don that uniform. So it's like a shield
Yep.
between the authentic you and then the world and the people that you're helping because you get to in a way hide behind that shield. It protects you. So you're not
Right.
exactly allowing your full authentic self to be seen. So that brings me back to visibility. How do you help women want or embrace the spotlight or to be seen in that way?
I think the reframing it up front usually helps a lot. I usually see an immediate change in their face. It's about knowing your value and making sure other people know it too. That's it. And if you are in a job interview or trying to pitch your services or whatever the case is, if you are providing value and not making it about you, that you're just helping that person decide whether that fills a gap for them or not. I think some of it is just neutralizing it. And the other part is then people get excited when they start to see their value instead of their effort. And once they see their value, then it's like, oh, I'm excited about this. I love this. Yes, why wouldn't I want to talk about this?
Oh my gosh. Such a huge mindset shift. So like
It is.
you're like stumbling over this piece, this roadblock of, you're skirting the spotlight because you just don't exactly know how to approach it. And maybe some of that comes too from that, a little bit insecure, but seeing your value instead of seeing the work you do. The work you do does not necessarily equate to the value you provide.
Right, right. And we can talk introductions and branding all day long, but this really serves people when you're in the meeting and you're interrupted, or you're at the networking event and you did your introduction, but then what about the conversation? And so it's the everyday, the natural stuff. And something that we talked about in a workshop last week is we prepare to introduce ourselves, but what happens when you go to the family barbecue or you see someone from 10 years ago at the grocery store and like, oh, what are you working on now? Or if you're an entrepreneur, how's your little business going? And kind of those comments. How do you navigate that conversation? You're not introducing yourself, they already know you. And so the value piece comes in on all of that. And there's different strategies for each scenario.
There is, and you bring up the family piece of it. And
Yeah.
de depending on what your family dynamic is, your family might be your toughest
Yes.
audience.
Yes.
They
Yep.
probably have no idea. I remember someone telling me that she threw a birthday party for herself. She just thought it would be fun to have a birthday party for herself. It was no big deal. And it was a lot of friends and family that she invited. And then when she decided to have this exercise or this game where she went around the room and asked everybody to um, tell her what they thought she did for work. And
Yeah.
so many were way off. They
Yep.
didn't have any idea. They didn't
I've
have
heard
any
that
idea.
story and I know that friend and it's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing that would how did that happen? How did they not know? But it, it- that's it's telling, isn't it?
It is. It's really telling, and I think it probably is more prevalent with females,
Hmm.
for sure, because we're so, um, you know, we wear so many hats.
Yes.
So, and in different stages, phases, and times in our life, we have to don a different hat or put on a different jacket
Right.
and be the person that we need to be in different settings. So, I think it might be easier for us to be what you talked about, the chameleon, that
Right.
chameleon.
I
Um,
I meet a lot more chameleons than I do peacocks.
I bet, especially
Yep.
females.
Yes.
And then, so with a chameleon, what are some common traits that you see in chameleons? Like if maybe somebody doesn't even know they're a chameleon, maybe they think they're doing pretty good. But what are some things that a person could look for to identify that, oh, maybe I am missing something here. Maybe that's the answer to my struggle.
I think a big part of it is not wanting to talk about themselves. And so it's the why can't my work speak for itself? Or if you're an entrepreneur, I just want to do the marketing, like splash everything out on social media and then hope that people will come. But it's there's another step in there. And so I think um being uncomfortable when someone asks about what you do or what are you working on or just like yeah, just navigating those conversations or if it's the corporate professional, I really see it come up a lot in interviewing. It's like I just want to give them my resume and have them read it, and I don't want to have to network. I don't want to have to like even the interview questions give me anxiety. It's like why can't we talk about ourselves? So that's more chameleon. They identify with the work, but the minute it's about them, all bets are off.
Ah, dang.
I know.
That's so interesting. It's just fascinating to wait the way that you bring it up that way. Like to it just clicks on so many different ways. You're like, oh my gosh, doggone it. Anyway. All right. I'm curious now with where our conversation landed last year at this time to now. Has your definition of success shifted at all, or do you feel like you're still headed in the direction you've always wanted to head into?
Ooh, that's a really powerful question and a hard one because I maybe it's because I come from a very structured corporate role and success was defined a certain way and there's always a money aspect to it. And so I get in my own head a lot about what does business look like? How independent am I? How many hours do I need to work? So I'm still working on it myself, with myself. But I do think it's funny you ask. I was just thinking about it this morning on my way home from the gym. I'm pretty diligent with my health, but my appearance does not reflect that. And someone asked me, it was my daughter actually a number of years ago, like, what are your goals at the gym and how much do you want to lift? And I said, my goals are that I want to have enough energy to do all the things I want to do. And I want to feel fit and strong. And I want my mind to just feel clear and calm. Those are not numbers on a scale or a size or anything like that. And I think I need that version of it for like success. It's not a number in the bank account. It's not a number of clients. I think I honestly need to work through that a little bit. Like what's the intangible version of success that I really want to define for myself?
So powerful when you start working through that process and you eliminate the money. Because I got to say this, because so often when people talk about success, they talk about, the universe will provide or God will provide and
Right.
being magnetic and calling things in.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, all of those different energies that we put out and the right energy is going to bring in the things. Um, but when I think about that, it is hard to eliminate the dollars from it.
Mhm.
And and I think that that's part of our society and yeah, maybe corporate gig,
Right.
but I don't know. I mean, thinking about how to look at your success in terms of what then? Successful client counts or
Right. Right.
number of speaking gigs or, um, kind of using metrics that don't equate to finances. Then they
Yeah.
always say the money will come, the money will come. And then you're like, well, when?
I was
Like,
hoping you had it figured out so you could tell me.
yeah, I wish.
Yeah,
But
but don't
everybody
you
says
think
that.
the needle moves too? Because
Hmm.
I when I did my goals this year, I did it in the style of a bingo card. Like it would be a great year if I just had and not everything is business. It's like get a pedicure. I'd like to get a pedicure. Cross it off. It's experiences. But one of them was getting paid to speak in a location where I would also be able to extend it and have a vacation. And I that was a goal and I did it in March. I did not have that gig booked. I feel no more successful than a year ago.
Yeah.
So I think the needle moves because
Yeah.
I don't feel any different having crossed that off my bingo card.
Interesting. And what would different look like then? Did you expect to? I can say living out on the road like this and doing like 95% of my work virtually, there's
Yeah.
no fanfare here.
Right. Right.
It's a click of that's the click of the mouse is the sound that I hear when things happen. That's it. And it's interesting. Not that I was ever someone who looked for fanfare or wanted a
Yeah.
spotlight, but that's a whole nother conversation. The
Right.
point though is it's like, yeah, you're just kind of here. And just like you said, like there was no like confetti didn't fall from the ceiling. There was
Yeah.
no music playing in the background. I didn't suddenly feel elated. Um,
Mhm.
you just felt like, okay, that's done. What's next?
I do. I think it's not measurable, but I think I feel success when I feel a great deal of I don't know if gratitude is the word. It's very satisfying when I see someone's eyeballs change, like or whether it's a small group or even from a stage and someone comes and talks to me. Well, when I hear words from someone that, oh, I understand this now, or I'm going to go try this, or I get a message, I tried it, it worked. The moments, the aha moments, I get a lot of satisfaction out of that. It's impact. And so it's not measurable, but maybe that's success to me.
I think that sounds like it. Um, I think that it is still a feeling, but I do think that we need to define that. So reverting
Yeah.
back to me being on the road here, one of the things, yeah, because I knew that money was going to be kind of a non-issue for a little while I worked on rebuilding, and that's okay. But I had to redefine success, and for myself, um, it was freedom, but then freedom of choice.
Right.
Whether
Right.
it be freedom of choice, like I get freedom to choose where I'm going to stay, but there are finances involved in just exactly how nice of a place will
Hmm.
be parking this RV. Um,
Right.
but it's the freedom of choice. And then it's also, I think, um, getting to a point and a level of acceptance in you, who you are, who you're becoming, and then being content with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Finding contentedness in yourself, and you may need to have to seek out some solitude to really dig into what that contentedness looks like for yourself. But there is a something there to strive for. There is something to that, and no, it doesn't have to be money. um
Right.
Interestingly enough, I can say this to you because I know that you'll probably relate. There was a pastor. He was actually a fill-in pastor at our church a number of years ago, and he said we were talking about some kind of a challenge or a struggle, whatever the case may be, and he
Hmm.
said, "Well, what do they always say?" He says, um, "Jesus' permanent address is at the end of your rope."
Oh boy, that's really good.
And the point of that is, again, another common statement is when when he is all that you need, when he is all that you have, you find that he is all that you need.
Hmm.
And when you get to a point where, and people that have reached a rock bottom of sorts, whatever that looks like for them, when you have nothing else to give, when you're at that point, and then all you have left is just Jesus,
Hmm.
you find that he's all that you need. But I think that it's because you get to that point and it's all that you need anyway, because
Yes.
you've relinquished so much and released so much to get there that it is. You don't need that much anymore. You find you just
Right.
don't need that
Right.
much.
And do you feel like there's a middle ground where you've started to let go of those worldly ways and the measurements, but maybe you're not fully like your brain didn't fully switch over of who your identity is in
Hmm.
him. And so
Hmm.
I think I get stuck in the middle. It's like, yeah, I've kind of let go, but not completely. And so
Yeah,
it feels weird.
it does. completely, I can tell you completely that I agree. I feel you. I
Yeah.
hear you. Absolutely 100% right there with you.
Yeah.
Trying to understand what it looks like to fully surrender and trust in Jesus and trust in
Mhm.
my path, God's path for me and my life.
Right.
Because we're worldly beings and we're doers, damn it.
Yes.
We do things. We don't just sit here and wait for things to happen around us. We do.
Right. Right. And we also get used to ourselves. And
Yeah.
so a lot that's part of the thrill when I'm working with people that they get so used to themselves, they don't see certain things as special. I'm like, no, that's actually a superpower of yours. And I had one woman, one of my top five is starting things. I'm really good at ideas and getting things off the ground. I can move boulders. If you want me to maintain stuff over time, that's when I get bored and I leave. And she had the same value set. And she said, I've never thought of that as a strength before. I always just berated myself as why can't I just keep up with this? And so because she's the starter, she's the igniter. So we get used to ourselves and well, not everybody can ignite things. So I think that is partly what stops people from wanting to talk about themselves because they don't understand those pieces.
Well, and it goes back to what you said. They're not seeing their value. They're
Right.
not seeing the value in the strengths and the gifts that they have
Right.
because they're theirs. I mean, they've had them all their lives. And
Right.
it's so much easier to look at what's wrong with it than it is to look at what's right with it.
And if you've been in the corporate realm, we've all done the assessments. I love the assessments, don't get me wrong, but you never know how to attach them to your identity in a way that you can create language and lead with it. That's the difference. Because I was never taught that. And I just kind of stumbled through it. And over the past few years, I've put a lot more of it together. And now I know how to help people do that.
That's amazing because you're so right. You take the assessments, you get the answers, and then now what? I mean, thanks, but
Now what? I'm still getting interrupted in this meeting.
yeah. Yeah, someone's still stepping on me. And that guy over there is still, stealing my thunder.
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's on a personal note, you talked about one, you spoke, you had a speaking engagement in a place where you could extend it and take a vacation.
Yeah.
When you click the button for that flight or you book that hotel, do you remember that moment? Do you think about that? I know it was on your bingo card.
I don't know that I don't know that I do. Well, when that trip, I mean it was a little trip to Florida. So I think it had happened pretty quickly in January getting that call. So I think the bingo card was fresh. And so it was like, yay, this is on the bingo card and this is gonna be great. And we really would love to get away when it's cold out. So that, yeah, I think I did. But once that was over, I got four more of these ahead of me. And so it was just, I got to be prepared for the next one and the next one. And so, yeah, I forget. It was forgotten pretty quickly too.
Wow. Okay, then though, you took a really nice trip
I
to your
did.
was that on your bucket list or on your bingo card? And then was that impactful?
It it was on my bingo card, but I already knew it was happening because we booked it last fall. So we have our 30th anniversary in July, but we had some constraints in July and weren't able to take a trip in July. So we spent like 11 days end to end, including travel, to get to London, Paris, and Rome, and then home again. So I think that was like a nice marker of get all the work done. Like it's been a frantic year, do the speeches, do the things. Our We had personal stuff too. Our daughter had her marriage end. She came to live with us while she was figuring out where she was going to live, and so she moved out right before our trip. It was delightful. She was a delightful roommate, but she moved out, and all the work was done. And I think it just kind of reset us having that trip because everything stopped. And then I came back and just started over. Like, okay, what are we going to do this summer? What are the programs? What are the events? What are we going to do? So
So you
World
dove right
experience
back in.
and right. Oh, yes, of course. Yeah, I had a workshop
Boom.
the very same week we came back. So
Oh,
I don't know why I do that to myself, but I do. But it was lovely. It was a lovely workshop. I had a great time.
what are you excited about for Visibility Woman coming up in the next year?
Oh, well, last year, a partner and I, she lives in Italy, but she was born and raised here in Minnesota, and she comes back every year. So we did this Visible Woman event, and then we turned it into an online series. And her trip back this year is a bit different, and she doesn't have the capacity to do an event again. But I, so I'm, it's not a duplication, it's round two. So it's perfect. Well, whether you've done visibility work or not, it's perfect. But I'm excited because I'm taking that August time slot and I'm doing a visibility retreat. It's a day retreat. It is about the first 30 seconds. So it's headshots, it's an image stylist, and then we work on like the networking and the introduction. And so everybody's got at least confidence for that piece. And there's some surprises in there too, some fun surprises, but those are the big three anchors. And I I'm a person who starts things, so I love planning this kind of stuff. It's going to be great.
That sounds wonderful. I love that too. It all sounds just beautiful. Tell me something.
Yes.
What have you learned about yourself over the past year and during this season that you're now in?
I have learned that when I'm working in my values, like my top value is bringing out potential. That's the main thing that I offer. Whether it's in a corporate enterprise, a system, people, doesn't matter. Dinner leftovers, just I can't help myself. And so when I am focusing my time there, everything else is easier and it's fun. And I think that's why, frankly, Kristen, I don't have a lot of hobbies because I think I'm work is fun. So I just keep doing more of it. So everything that I look at that's gone really well is anchored in that, where I've brought that out in someone.
That is beautiful. And I love that. I love that you see that in yourself.
Oh, thank you.
That's an amazing attribute and an amazing strength because so many women need that cheerleader and they need that encouragement, or maybe even they just need that nudge.
Yes. Yeah, it's not a one and done, right?
Hmm.
But even getting someone to start the work and just to start to see themselves differently and then they're on their journey. But yeah, we all need somebody who sees something. Like my boss saw something in me that I didn't see in myself, and those moments don't come around very often.
With that note, have you had some mentors or people that have influenced you on your journey?
Never officially. Like
Okay.
mentoring wasn't a thing. I'm kind of old, Kristen. So it wasn't a thing in the corporate realm, at least not formally. Like I think a lot of men naturally mentored other men and women didn't know to ask for it. And yeah. So I never had anyone formally, but I've picked up just nuggets from people over the years. There's not like one main person. But even if your boss, if you're in a corporate job and you're thinking my boss doesn't technically know any more than I do, there's still something they can teach you, whether it's leadership, whether it's what not to do, whether, yeah, or just seeing yourself differently. So yeah, it's a long answer to your question. I'm sorry, but yeah, not one single mentor, but definitely bits and pieces from people.
That's awesome. And I can totally relate to that as well. I think you and I are in about the same era, I think, when it comes to
Yeah.
that corporate leadership piece of it and the atmosphere that we worked in. And I think we were both kind of in a male-dominated
Hmm.
type industry. So, yeah, you were running solo. So you were used to doing everything yourself from your
Right.
perspective.
Right.
And so you just kept doing it. And now you
Just
get
kept
to do
doing
it
it.
the way you want to do it, though. And you found your niche. Um, One last thing.
Sure.
I'm just curious, was there anything, I mean, other than finding this incredible, other than things clicking for you, I'll say, was there anything else that you did that just kind of really catapult things this past year, or was it just really methodical, consistent work?
It was both. It definitely consistency does a lot. Especially with networking. I always tell new networkers, this is a long game. You might have to network somewhere for a year before you figure out that's not the right room. Like if you don't get a client or a relationship or a job immediately, that isn't how networking works. The other part of it though is I really nailed my introduction this year. I stopped overthinking it. I started practicing what I preach, and I figured out what to say in 10 seconds or less that makes people go, whoa. So
Congratulations. That is a feat in itself, and all of the things you are doing are just beautiful. I've really enjoyed watching your growth and seeing the way that you have been connecting with people in all of the different ways that you're expanding and looking to connect, and all of the incredible opportunities, and you and your authentic and beautiful self. Thank you, Barb.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. I
Where can
appreciate
people
you.
find you? Oh, yeah. Where can people find you to connect with you and learn more about what you're doing?
The mo I mostly hang out on LinkedIn. I
Okay,
love LinkedIn. I teach people a lot about LinkedIn. But if nothing else, if you can remember my name, because there might be more Barb Munsons on LinkedIn, you could just go to barbmunson.com and you can click my LinkedIn there and just poke around and yeah, and send me a message and ask me questions.
perfect. That's so great. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you
Yeah.
for being with me a year ago. I'm grateful for you and all that you do, and I'm thankful that I can call you friend. Thank you so much.
Likewise, what a year you've had. I love watching it.
Oh, thanks. It's been an adventure, no doubt. Thanks for listening to the Savvy Leader podcast. If something in this conversation made you think differently, that's the point. Share this episode with someone who needs it and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what's next. For more conversations on clarity, alignment, and real leadership, connect with me through the SavvyLivingNetwork.com and join the conversation at the Savvy Leaders Lounge on Substack. Until next time, lead with intention.